Welcome back to another edition of Smart Driving Cars. Thanks for spending time with us once again. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with the Faculty Chair of Autonomous Vehicle Engineering at Princeton University and co-author of the new book, The Real Case for Driverless Mobility, Alain Kornhauser. Hi, Alain.
Hey, hi, Fred.
Happy May weekend. Beautiful day today.
Right, it is a beautiful day, although I've been inside working all day long. What's the matter with me? I don't know,
And I
whatever.
don't know if you got pictures, but our friend Bob Vanderby had some amazing shots of the Aurora from his front yard this week.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that what are we doing seeing auroras in New Jersey? I mean, come on. Yes.
Well, turning to the latest edition of the Smart Driving Cars newsletter, on top is an information request sent to Tesla from NHTSA. And I guess this is a follow-up to the recall query that they had launched previously.
Right. And they had a recall and to be able to really provide some oversight on the use of, or to implement some oversight on the use of FSD and autopilot in Tesla vehicles, because now there's a camera in there, and the camera the purpose of it is to make sure that the driver continues to maintain attention on the road ahead as he or she drives down the road, which is a good thing to have. I think that was all pioneered by General Motors a while back with their whatever they call pilot for on the Cadillacs, and it was very well received, very well done by GM. Super Cruise,
Ford is
very
Blue
well
Cruise.
done.
You got to keep the cruises straight.
And so I guess everybody who does these things has been evolving to put a camera in there, simply because, of course, the manufacturers want to make sure that people continue to pay attention, because they all know that under certain situations these things don't work very well, and the driver needs to regain control. Otherwise, not so good things happen. And so I guess as Tesla was rolling out its cameras, the amount of oversight and the way they did the oversight may or may not have been working too well. And so NHTSA, a few weeks back or a month or so back, had them issue a recall to allow Tesla to put software, new software updates in each of the cars with cameras, so that then they could monitor in a better way the driver behavior, and if the driver misbehaved, basically called strikes against the drivers, and after so many strikes, Tesla would take away the use of the product. So it's almost like, being back in grade school. If you don't behave, I think I was sent to the corner many times to sit there with my dunce cap, and I got my toys taken away. I got spanked in 7th grade with second day of class. Oh, geez, they don't do that anymore, do they, Fred?
I don't think so. And of course, when we talk about a recall with Tesla, we're talking about an over-the-air update. It's not.
Yeah, so
vehicles back.
I sort of commented a little bit flippantly, but maybe not so, that in some sense, Tesla and NHTSA were cooperating to try to make sure that customers of Tesla don't misbehave in the use of these features. And sometimes it's tempting to misbehave, although I guess I have misbehaved at times in my life when I shouldn't have, and you really shouldn't. And it's really tough for someone who is creating a product for somebody and for a customer set to not have respect for their customers and institute grade school type things that if you misbehave, we're going to take it away. I mean, that's I think everyone wants to think the best of their customers, and doesn't want to get into this spanking syndrome of misbehaving customers. It's certainly not pleasant to do that, and but it seems as if what happens in these things, you have a distribution of behavior, and it's the tail of the distribution that always gets you in trouble. You know, the 80%, 90%, 95% of the customers, absolutely fantastic. It's the ones out there on the tail of the distribution that who knows what is driving them to, or causing them to, as I say, misbehave in the use. That sort of ruins it for everybody.
You know, until now, Tesla has been requiring with this drivers to keep at least one hand on the wheel every so often, at least. You know, let go for a few seconds.
Yeah.
That's fine. But
sure,
I saw a post, and I don't know if it's real or not, because online, who knows what's real. But it seemed to be a post from Musk indicating that they will be able to drive hands-free with the next iteration of FSD. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but that was the interpretation.
Whether or not you can or you can't, whether the question is, should you? And how much risk do you want to take? Everything is a trade-off that involves some risk. And in some sense, I've argued that the issue is not the hands on the wheel. The issue is where are your feet, so that you can hit the brake. Because in most of these situations, or many of these situations, probably the last thing you want to do is grab the steering wheel and turn it, because then you'll flip the car and die. What you really want to do is hit the brake. Certainly not all, but if you give me the majority is you want to hit the brake. So the whole concept should be have your feet near the brake. Hands on the wheel, you probably want, what are you doing with your hands anyway? Put them on the wheel. What's the big deal? So, but that's my point of view on this.
Well,
it's
that's
certainly
the question. If they're still going to be watching you with the camera, which they are, if you start looking at your phone or whatever, then it's going to put you back in that corner.
It's going to put you in the corner, give you a dunce cap, and ask for a note from your mother before you can use it again, or the equivalent thereof. Okay? I mean, my phone, when I'm moving and I pick up my phone, I as a passenger, of course, never as a driver, look at my phone. It asks me if I'm driving. Come on. You have two cameras there. I don't know how many cameras on these things. You know where I'm looking, what it is. You have a GPS receiver, you have accelerometers. You know where I am in the car. Apple, you're asking me if I'm driving? You don't know? We now have AI, supposedly. With that stream of data, you haven't been able to put it through a chat GPT, who knows what to do, to tell, hey, he's driving with probability of 0.986. Cut it out. it's but I guess Apple can get away with it. Okay, in some sense, Tesla used to be getting away with it. And I think at some point, NHTSA had enough of this silliness. Look, put the camera in there. Monitor people. If you don't want to be monitored, we're turning it off. You can't have it. Okay? If you drape something over it, come on. You mean the AI doesn't know that the camera's been draped? It's able to figure out how to go down the street and all that stuff, and turn and stop at red lights and everything else, and it can't turn that the camera's been covered over. Cover those. Come on, hey Alan, you're misbehaving here. We're pulling over. It's all yours. We're out of here. We're not helping you anymore. We provided you with this feature so that it can help you. so it could make you safer, so that you could relax. Okay, you don't want to cooperate. That's not, you don't like those terms and conditions, then you don't get to use it. So I think that that's at least that's my perception, my interpretation of what Tesla, and I think NHTSA, and if we were in the back rooms or rooms where this deal was cut, probably everybody was very happy about doing it.
Right.
Why Tesla? I mean, it's trivial for them to do. I mean, if you ask General Motors to do it, oh my goodness, they got to take all the cars into some dealer. I mean, the cost of that is non-trivial. I guess for Tesla, boom, hit, done. Little communications cost to do, little software writing, little to do. So it's trivial. And I think what they probably found as this was implemented, that maybe it didn't go far enough. Because, of course, those in the tail of the distribution who want to sort of do weird things with this stuff are out there gaming it. So that now it becomes a Cold War sort of thing. You improve it and figure out how to do it. It appears on the dark or light web. All the people and the people on the tail of the distributions must have been messing around. So I guess because Tesla is sitting with the good fortune of having the sensors and the communications and the ability to collect the data, the ability to then upload it to itself, the ability to then eat it and do something with it once they get it, maybe in cooperation. I don't know. Nobody's saying so. I didn't ask anybody, but I presume the two of them are working in concert. Why wouldn't they be? If they aren't, they should be. Because this is a safety problem. And Tesla's as interested in safety as is NHTSA. General Motors is as interested in safety as is NHTSA. Daimler, the same as NHTSA or the Europeans.
Right.
And everybody has problems with these folks down there at the tail of the distribution messing with this, gaming it for what? Who knows what reasons. And so I guess out of this process, or I'm really hypothesizing out of this process, Tesla and NHTSA again got together and said, hey, you guys have been collecting the data. You've been watching these folks. We're going to ask you to give us the data. And instead of you just analyzing it and putting it out there and whatever, share it with us. We'll analyze it, figure out, and we'll tell the world, or as much as you let us tell. And in fact, we'll all come up with better suggestions that you then can implement in the Cold War process of staying ahead of the people down there at the tail of the distribution who are trying to game this thing.
Fred Lambert, you included his take on this from Electrek as well, where the headline was Tesla is finally going to release everything we want to know about autopilot / FSD as NHTSA forces it.
Yeah, but I guess my hypothesis is that I guess he knows and I don't. I'm just looking at two entities and looking at what each of them must in fact be interested in and what they must be so frustrated with. And Tesla, of course, they don't want to, no company wants to go against their customers. We praise our customers. Our customers are the best thing since sliced bread. And NHTSA, the bad guy in there, oh, they're going to make us do it. Well, I mean, sir, I don't want to put myself in Tesla's shoes, but if I was in Tesla, I'd say, hey, why don't we work this together? We both have the same objective. And guess what? We've told we've used these data to tell the world that, how safe our car is. And then when we do that, everybody thinks we're faking it and whatever. We haven't been. Hey, if we give you the data and you say it, everybody will believe it. And we both, the truth comes out, the same truth comes out, but you have more credibility than we have. And if we then together can come up with new ways to basically compete in this, in this leapfrogging effort that goes in this, Cold War sort of thing between us and the people on the tail of the distribution that are out there ruining it for everybody, we can implement it at essentially no cost. Just make us do it. Make sure that Fred writes out there that, hey, they forced us. That way we have cover. Now, of course, I guess I'm writing a novel on this thing as opposed to the reality. But to me, this is what the reality should be, and in fact can be in this situation. And I hope it is, or even if it isn't, even if it remains this adversarial situation, then in fact it's going to be a good outcome for the both of them, as the first recall was. And maybe we'll need a third one and a fourth one and a fifth one and whatever to stay ahead of these folks down there. And pretty soon maybe they'll get tired and they'll stop doing it. And of course, the other incentive for Tesla to cooperate here is, in fact, they're the only ones in the industry that could do this. They're the only ones in the industry who put the sensors out there to collect the data in the first place. They're the only ones in the industry who put together the communications infrastructure to do this for all their vehicles. And they're the only ones in the industry who, upon eating all this information, can do something with it. I read this. It's 16, 18 pages that detail the extent to which the data requirement is being made here. I know discovery, you ask for a lot of things normally in discovery, but my goodness, this discovery is so intense, so deep, so detailed, so timely, like now, real time essentially, that if given to anybody else, oh my goodness, they'd be in Congress saying, we're being harassed by NHTSA. We have no way of doing this. What the hell are they asking us? This is like crazy stuff. Get those people off my back. I haven't heard that yet from Tesla. You know what that tells me? They already have the files already. This data's probably already transferred. Now, I'm sure we're going to hear the news from Fred and others that no, this is not the case. And Kornhauser's like, fanboy of Tesla. And, he's like, what? That's what this looks like to me. And of course, the advantage of Tesla is, guess what? Anybody else wants to put some advanced driver assistance systems in their car? Anybody else wants to do level 3? Oh, my goodness, level 3? Guess what? NHTSA is going to ask them for these data. And they're like going to, can you imagine how they're pulling their hair out right now? Holy, what do we have to, we're going to have to, I've been running around in cars from another manufacturer for 10 years that does essentially the same thing as autopilot. Probably not as well. Okay. Has that entity ever gotten any information on how I use that, how I misuse it, how it's performing? How close of crashes have I even been in crashes? How many deer have I hit when this darn thing was on? Okay. Do they know that? I've certainly never signed it. Well, not that I know that I ever signed anything that said that. Have they ever called me up? Hey, Alan, yo. No. I mean, my car was stolen from in front of my house. And I call him, oh, hey, you must know where my car is because I have all this stuff in there. I said, oh, did you pay the whatever charge? I said, no. I mean, I didn't want you to track me. I didn't pay. I got to pay you I got to pay you for you to track me to get data on me. Not only do I have to give you my data, I have to pay you too. Oh no. But you must be able to turn it on now that yeah, I want to pay you now because I need it. I'm willing to pay you now. Oh, we can't do that. You got to be in the car. What? You have a back door. You must have a back door. Your engineers must have put a back door in there. No. I did call up one of the engineers and no, we don't. Okay. Put your head in the sand. Make sure you don't know. Make sure if you're ever asked for the data, you can say, hey, we don't know. Those days are over. Those guys are in trouble. They got to catch up.
Meanwhile, our friend Adam Jonas at Morgan Stanley has posted an optimistic Tesla FSD expectation after he personally experienced version 12.3.6. I'm jealous, but he's experienced it.
You haven't gotten that yet, Fred?
Not 0.6, no.
Oh, well, hopefully you'll get yeah. Adam, I mean, not only does he provide some, the fundamental statistics involved with what Tesla's able to do because they put the sensors in there to collect the data. They put the communication system in there. Well, the sensors in there to source the data, the communications in there to transmit the data. And I imagine the internal capabilities to eat the data and to do something with it and to learn from it. And I guess this isn't allowing them to really improve it, such that Adam's happy. And then he comes out with what I call a Janosian fundamental statement, where they've created a situation where cars could learn by learning instead of labeling. Ouch. I mean, anybody that understands anything about how these systems work and the data and so on, and information requirement to be able to train them and then use them knows, oh my goodness, wow. Cars could learn by learning instead of labeling. I mean, that is so penetrating. It's unbelievable. Damn, Adam comes up with these things. I mean, it's love him dearly.
And hopefully we'll be hearing from him again before too long.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
yeah, he always comes out. I mean, it is fundamental, and the other numbers that he puts there, in terms of the
Yeah, he said the fleet should
collective
be driving a
billion.
collective 100 billion miles a year, run rate by late next year.
Yeah,
Amazing.
And of course he always provides the appropriate dimension. That's 3,200 miles per second, and that's every second. 86,400 of them every day. And it's once you put it together, you then end up knowing you're able to then look at the tail of a distribution and maybe have a chance to understand what is really going on in the tail and being able to address it properly. But my goodness, without that information, I mean, you're clueless.
Aurora sent a letter to shareholders. Chris Urmson says, quote, "We are off to a strong start in 2024, driving purposefully toward our planned commercial launch at the end of the year and the subsequent scaling of our business."
Yeah, and they had a wonderful demonstration, that the safety demonstration that they had in their test facility earlier this year, and they've been, working diligently to make this safe. And credit to Chris and Nat and the others there out there that at Aurora that this isn't easy, especially if you're doing it with a commercial vehicle. It's basically 80,000 pounds in some sense for roaring down the highway, and if anybody's going to do it, I think they're going to do it. At least my view of the people that they have there, they're really good. But the darn thing has to work, and I guess the only suggestion that I make to them is again, they like to boast to the world that they're going to be driverless. I think it's way too early to do that. I think that just almost asks for trouble. And again, for the folks that are down there at the tail of the distribution, most of the people, no problem. But there may very well be a few out there that who knows what's going to incite them to do what. And the last thing that I think they want to do is be noticed as they go down the highway. Absolutely, the last thing they want to do is be noticed. Well, the last thing is, of course, have it crash. But the last thing they want to do is be noticed. Putting all over the darn thing that you're driverless for people to see you as they're going by you or you're going by them, I don't think accomplishes anything except for people, most of the people getting out of the way, I guess that accomplishes something. But the problem is you have to have everybody get out of the way. You can't have anybody on the tail of the distribution. Because we saw what people on the tail of the distribution do in San Francisco to Waymo and Cruise. They get cones, they get hammers, they get Molotov cocktails or fireworks. And you're defenseless. And it only takes, one of each or one of just one of to ruin it for everybody. And so I say, if I were Chris, and I'm not, I'd say, whew, what's the gain of me having driverless on the side of the truck versus the risk? There's no gain. What's the gain of me having a big LiDar out there? Hey, people, look at my LiDar. No. What you really want to do is make sure that the CEOs of the trucking companies that are going to use and buy and use your product really recognize how better it makes their business. Those are the folks you want to know that. The rest of them, I don't know. Talk to me here. But what am I? I'm an academic in this, Princeton bubble. I don't know what real world. So sorry for suggesting something to, CEOs.
Waymo, meanwhile, had posted a video counting 50,000 paid trips every week now across 3 major cities. Pretty nice video.
Yeah, well, nice video. I think the number is nice. The number is a real accomplishment. That's 10,000 trips a day. All right. And to do 10,000 trips a day, person trips a day, without smoke and mirrors. And I do believe they're doing it without smoke and mirrors. They're the only ones in the world. They're number one. That's an enormous achievement. That's not a wanna-gonna, that's a doa. And so, they need to be celebrated for achieving that. That is an enormous achievement. To me, they've done the proof of concept. I just wish they'd take that proof of concept and come here to Jersey, where they could do 50,000, 100,000 a day, because there's at least that much need, if not greater. For some reason, I don't know, whatever, they don't want to. It's a shame, because if you really look at where they are, it's taken them 15 years to get here. 2009 to 2024. Is that 15? Duh. Yeah. And how much? I don't know. 10 big ones? I don't know. And if they're earning above cost of goods sold on these 10,000 person trips that they're doing per day, if they're earning $10 above cost of goods sold on average, they've got to grow 30x to amass enough to pay back the 10B, at least, maybe, that they've gone through to reach this point. So they've established the proof of concept. They really have to go 30x to be somewhat of to do a return on investment that anybody would pay attention to. So they still have a way to go. They should come here in New Jersey. We can help them get there.
Absolutely. Next headline, Daimler's driverless semi-trucks will hit the road in 2027. Alan, you say nice goal here.
Yeah, I guess they have goals. But then what's in that article? I mean, what do they show a picture of their truck. I mean, who are you trying to impress? No CEO is going to buy one of those things or whatever if it looks like that. And it's going to attract anybody down there in that distribution to who? I'm going to play with those guys. I'm going to get my fun. Not that there's anybody there. Of course, I mean, here I am with Aurora. They just have a little driverless on there on the side. And, They might as well have flashing light. We're driverless. We're driver. Who are you trying to impress? I mean, in which corporate board did they say, "Hey, yeah, let's do that paint job and let's emphasize that and let's put." I mean, really? I mean, look at what happened when the CEO came out at CES in the F015002 or whatever autonomous vehicle that was made for 3 customers. Oh, yeah, great. I mean, that's not for the one, that thing wasn't for the 1%. That was for the 0.001%. How's the market gone on that one? Not so well. I mean, this really, I want to attract that kind of attention when I'm just trying to improve the logistics operation so that I can better serve my customers who need to have things move from A to B at time T. I want people, anybody who sees that, they're going to help me do that, or are they going to get in my way? Who thinks of this stuff?
You link to a headline here in the newsletter, Alan. Says driverless cars with own roadway could solve commute problems. This is a TV report, I think, from a Fox affiliate on the West Coast.
Well, I guess my bottom line on this is I should be watching more Fox News. This brings me back to my childhood. Oh, this brings me back to 1971 with Ed Anderson and Bill Gerard and so on, who discovered personal rapid transit. We were going to solve all the mobility problems of every city using automation and exclusive guideways. I was barely born in 1971, right? I'm only 39, aren't I, Fred? I mean,
That's what I understand.
yeah. I mean, how in the heck did I do that when I'm about to celebrate a 39th birthday here? I mean, how does that happen? But boy, did this bring me back to my childhood. Oh my goodness. So I mean, it's trivial to be safe in an exclusive uh, roadway. We could do that back in 1971, if not 1965, if not, a couple miles across Route 1 over at Sarnoff in 1957. Oh, but we need an exclusive guideway that interconnects all the places that we want to come from and get to. Oh, I mean, at one time I sort of designed back of the envelope a 10,000 mile station system with 10,000 miles of exclusive guideway against serving all of New Jersey. Then the students sort of added up, hey, Professor Kornhauser, do you know how much this is going to cost? Oh,
Well,
quarter
so
of a
much,
trillion.
so much for that.
Quarter of a trillion. Oh, hey, Professor Kornhauser, do you know how many planning board meetings we're going to have to go to then convince people that, especially where we put this elevated, it's going to go by their bedroom window, but that's okay? Do you know how many of those? I mean, we're going to have to become like the Ohio State Princeton University to have enough students to be able to do that. Oh, I forgot about that.
There were a couple of other quick Tesla headlines here too. We can just mention quickly. One is a YouTuber posted a video of using FSD in Manhattan, middle of traffic during peak rush hour, and apparently the vehicle did pretty well. But
I mean, again. I think there was good intention here, and I didn't even want to put it out there, except if somebody did it, then might as well see how well or not well it did. These things are not for New York. Sorry, at least not in any foreseeable future. New York already. I mean, geez. You can walk to most places that you want to go. And if you can't walk it, there's a great subway there that'll take you there. And if you have, some wealth, there's taxi, Uber, Lyft. If you have real wealth, you have limo. If you have real wealth, moving up to the east side with an apartment in the sky. Isn't that the way it went, or something like that? Then
you're taking your helicopter out to the Hamptons or something like that.
Oh my goodness, I'm going out to sure, for those folks, they already have good ways to go. They already have good rides. The only way they would ever use you is because maybe, oh, look, Ma, no, selfie time. What? That's not a business. They don't need this. Please, not there. There are so many other places where people really could use a ride, really need a ride, where they don't have a subway, where they can't walk to it, where there aren't taxis, where they can't afford Uber, Lyft, where, buses, hey, every once in a while they go from where I want to go to where I want to go when I want to go. But guess what?
I guess the point of this was to show off that FSD will work in Manhattan. I guess that was the point.
But who cares?
Right.
What if it works on Mars? What if it works on Venus? That's not where the need is. That's not where the value is. As a joyride, as a selfie.
Right.
Hey, when you have options, one chooses one because there's only one reality. And if all the options are better, when's this reality? Oh, it works. When's this reality going to be chosen? Never. What? One's worried about that?
The other Tesla story you included here.
They got to read the book, Fred. They got to read the book.
Of course.
They're driving me nuts.
I don't know that they're talking robo-taxis. They're talking FSD, but that's another story.
Yeah, but even FSD, what do you have a car for in New York? I mean, I hope, the congestion, the roads actually should only be used for things that really need a ride. They can't be provided in any other way than to use the roads. And you know what that is? Freight, goods, things to stock the stores, things to get the things from the stores to your home. That's what the roads should be used for. People have the options of walking, the subway, buses, use the roads, personal cars.
Not to mention that it's no fun.
Well, hey, well, I think both the charges. I'm such a cheap guy. The charges at the tunnels and bridges is totally whatever now, as it should be, and now the congestion charge. I don't think I shall drive in Manhattan ever again. And oh my goodness, Fred, I'm never going to drive in Manhattan ever again. Where's my tissue?
Having worked there, I did it for 30 years every day, and I haven't been back in years. And
you drove it? You drove it?
Well, I had to.
Why?
I was a journalist going out on stories.
Is that how you judge? Oh, Fred.
And it could be anywhere. Could be anywhere.
Oh my goodness, it could be anywhere. Oh my goodness. Well, I hope the congestion.
It could even be going to Princeton to interview a guy with a software company. You never know where I would be going.
Fred, yes, you were very kind. Thank you.
The other Tesla story you have here is Tesla is Luminar's largest LiDAR customer, which I guess you read the headline, you say, wow, Elon has changed his mind about LiDAR. And then you read a little further.
Well, yeah, yeah, I mean, oh my goodness. I mean, when I saw that, I said, really? Elon changed his mind, but my goodness, this must be, this is the advanced information for which I know that it's going to go like crazy. So I'm there calling my broker. Ooh, I'm ready. I'm ready. And then I thought, geez, wasn't it just last week that we were commenting about Luminar laying off 20% of its workforce? Yeah, we did. Wait a minute. The folks that made the decision to lay off 20% must have been putting together whatever the information packet that was released this week to contain this line about 10% of the revenue being from Tesla. And if in fact that was just the tip of the iceberg of Elon's change of heart with LiDAR, why would you lay off anybody? Holy hell, the good times are a coming. I don't know what that tells people. So I hung up the phone. I said, geez, I don't know. I mean, I'm in this Princeton bubble, and I just don't know what's going on in the world. So what am I supposed to do?
Well, coming to the Princeton bubble at the end of this month is the 6th Smart Driving Cars Summit, Alan, and it's coming along well, the plans.
It is coming along well. I think we have excellent people coming here to basically, one kind of reminisce about where we're coming from, how we got here, and what challenges remain. Because as we're sitting here, many of us are realizing that there are a lot of challenges. That's what we're going to focus on Thursday. And then on Friday, we're going to say, now what are we going to do to really make this happen? And make this happen really to do, accomplish three things. One is proof of concept, which, this is where the kind of the Waymo thing really fits in. And they've published it so, people can read about it. And they've done it. The proof of market, which nobody's even close yet. Although, it is encouraging that there are the numbers that Waymo is showing. And a proof of policy, politics, and people. What the heck kind of interfacing override is the public's private sector going to put on top of this, and the public is going to put on top of this, so we can actually have a market solution here. And we're going to do that in three individual areas. One is the advanced driver assistance systems, which are focused on as capabilities for people who want to drive themselves. And we know, boy, there is a great desire by an enormous number of people to drive themselves. And in fact, driving yourself has been made achievable by a large percentage of our population. And when they've had an option of doing this or doing that, or picking this or buying this or doing that, and they've gone and let their pocketbook do the talking and want to drive themselves. So how do we improve that? How do we make systems like autopilot or FSD or those from GM or Mercedes or Ford or Honda and so on, the advanced driver assistance really work? And of course, we reported last week or 2 weeks ago about NHTSA coming out and finally putting out regulations for automated emergency braking systems that really work. Don't just talk about working, but really work, are really on all the time and are not turn offable. I mean, that is just a major advance. And how does that actually play out and get into every car? So we'll focus on that as one of them. We'll also focus on, how about all those people who need a ride, who for whatever reason, and there are many, can't or don't want to drive themselves. They need a ride. And how are their lives improved through the evolution of systems that can give them a ride? And the interesting thing about getting a ride is, you want a ride getting there, you want to be able to get there. But what did Hans and Gretel do when they were going to grandma's house? They put breadcrumbs down there so they could get home. I mean, when they left the house to go to grandma's, what were they worried about? Not so much getting to grandma's house. They were worried about getting home. Now, what they did didn't, didn't work out as well as they would have liked for reasons. Well, sure, next time they did something else. But that's, Hans and Gretel are like a lot of people. They not only want to get there, but at some point they want to come back home or go somewhere else and then come home. So if you don't put something out there that at least enable them to do their whole tour, whether it's out and back or then they got to cobble through some this and that. I mean, then you have to have a PhD and, how do you cobble through a bunch of trips so I can, get around? Not so easy, or not as easy as it could be. And then the third thing that we're going to deal with is then, other things that need a ride, like freight. Freight has no opportunity to give itself a ride, okay? So it needs a ride. It needs Aurora. It needs Daimler. It needs these folks. It really needs these folks. It really, really needs these folks. And if those things had the capability to now improve the whole process of moving things around so that to the benefit of us and improve society. So we'll be talking basically about this matrix: proof of concept, proof of market, proof of policy, politics, and people, along on the rows of advanced driver assistance systems, I guess driverless systems for people who need a ride. Because if you have a driver, we've been doing that for Downton Abbey had, drivers. It's been there for a long time. I mean,
So this is coming up soon, the end of the month, May 29th, 30th, 31st.
That's right.
And is there room still for people to register and come?
Well, sort of, but whatever room now remains is we're not doing it by application. Simply because we really want to have in the audience people who want to contribute to this learning process that's going to go on during these 2 days. So we're a little bit like Adam Jonas's comment with respect to we're going to learn instead of label. Right. Not quite the same concept, but really we think there's going to be contributions coming in from the dais as well as from the audience. And the whole idea of this is to get engagement. And it's not going to be I probably will end up doing some preaching. They'll pull me off the stage and, throw me out the door or something like that, which they should. But really, we're looking for contributions from the audience, and there were contributions from the speakers, and contributions from the panelists, and contributions from the moderators, and contributions for the discussants, and also contributions from the audience. We don't want anybody sitting in the back on their device. Okay, if you're going to be on your device, don't come. And in fact, people bring devices, we're going to ask them to put it down. That's what I do in my classes now.
The website, smartdrivingcar.com, is where people can go to get more info.
Absolutely.
Terrific. One other story that we didn't get to that I wanted to mention real quick before was something from Yahoo Finance, an analysis that says, could UK self-driving unicorn Wayve, Wayve, overtake its competitors? And they've landed some serious money, I guess, $1 billion in funding, in a round led by SoftBank. They have other funding from Microsoft and NVIDIA.
Yeah, so look, people thought that sort of the funding was dead, and this is serious funding from an entity that's been around for a little while. It certainly has, some very key names associated with its creation. Jan LeCun is, a significant person, and anybody who is able to get any of Jan LeCun's time is probably has an opportunity to take that kind of money and have a serious shot at making something happen. But as we're seeing, even 1 billion, I guess that's in the past. How much does Waymo consume? How much did Cruise consume? How much did Argo consume? How much is Zoox consuming? How much is Motional consuming? Aurora? This is, if you're going to play this game, this is high stakes.
That it is. Once again, for more info on the summit, smartdrivingcar.com. That's also where you can find us. And wherever you turn to for podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Apple, Amazon, Google, SoundCloud, and many more. You can find my tech reports at techstination.com. I'm Fred Fishkin along with Alain Kornhauser. Thank you for listening or watching. Please continue to stay safe.
Thank you, everybody. Hope to see you in Princeton at the end of the month.